You need to read this, like, now.
No, I can't do any more dark fiction. I'm done. I'm so tired.
Oh, come on. You make me read, like, absolutely everything. We just do this last one, and then we're done. We move on.
No, I can't take any more. Just give me the good old days of Sunshine and Judy Blume.
Okay, number one, you have never read a book by Judy Blume ever. And number two, this has the White Wolf.
Geralt, is that you? Hey, this isn't Witcher.
Okay, then give it back.
No, just one more second. Mary Lou is the best-selling author of the Legend series, a dystopian fiction about a militaristic society and disease and genetics. It did amazingly well, but now that it's over, Lou has turned her attention to another series.
And holy crap, is it dark. I mean, I like dark, but this heroine, you're not exactly sure if she's the villain of the story or if she's just an anti-hero, but a case can be made either way.
The world is slightly fantastic. There are people with magical powers, and there are giant stingray things called boleras, and a whole bunch of other things. But there are also a lot of mundane things like hangings and brothels and horse races. Wait, so gambling, prostitution, and organized death. The fact that Lou got to pick and choose elements from our world, and those are the ones that she chose, might tell you a little bit about where the tone of this book is going.
Our story begins with Adelina, a Malfetto, or someone who survived the Blood Plague and came out changed. She lives with her abusive father and her younger sister Violetta. And though both girls were affected by this blood plague that ravaged the entire kingdom, Adelina was the one who came out worse for wear. Her hair turned silver and she lost an eye.
Her father keeps torturing her mentally and physically, trying to force her to manifest the powers that sometimes appear in Malfettos. Powers that would make her one of the young elites and therefore valuable, even if it's just to sell to the Inquisition, who has actually made it their #1 priority to make life for Malfettos into a living hell.
It's not until she attempts to escape her father that her powers finally manifest. And then her father gets trampled by a horse, and then she's captured by the Inquisition, and then she's almost burned at the stake. So, you know, she has all that going for her.
We have found the witch! May we burn her!
But lucky for her, the other elites hear about her powers, and Enzo pops up to save her, spiriting her away to his secret society. She learns that he is the deposed heir to the throne, and the Dagger Society, his group of elites, actually want to put him back up there. They want her to join them, codename the White Wolf.
It's not so much along the lines of, does Adelina want to join them? It's more along the lines of, they tell her, you have to join us now because you've seen our faces. And if you endanger us in any way, we won't hesitate to kill you. But lucky for her, she actually does want to join their society.
It turns out that Adelina has the potential to be very powerful. She's an illusionist, capable of making images appear, but maybe one day she'll be able to trick the other 4 senses as well. I'm having Bleach flashbacks to Aizen's complete hypnosis powers and the absolute havoc he caused over there.
And of course, no one focuses on the beauty her power could create. Instead, the very first thing they jump to is, wow, she could trick someone into drinking liquid metal, which is such a lovely image. They're constantly focusing on the fact that her powers come from her alignment with fear and anger. Yeah, you can really guess where this is going.
Not only that, she's barely able to settle into her new life as a dagger when Inquisitor Terran, the guy who nearly turned her into overcooked bacon, shows up and tells her that he has her sister Violetta, and if she doesn't help him spy on the daggers, her sister's Kaputski.
I am the bad guy.
So we find ourselves in a quagmire of a situation, with a heroine ill-equipped to take a bath with a rubber ducky, let alone play a game of spies and political intrigue. Adelina's powers, drawing from fear and anger, mean that she is frequently both, and they're not exactly productive emotions, especially when they're paired with her abusive and loveless childhood.
The other daggers, to be completely honest, are not equipped to handle her. They're more focused on getting stuff done rather than tending to the state of her mind. They are well-rounded, but you don't really find that much out about them, and this is just because they're not really social.
Enzo is very focused on getting his crown back, presumably so that he can get on the throne and stop the persecution of the Malfettos. But he also kind of seems like the type of person who would want his crown back even if his kingdom was the land of My Little Pony. He's a good warrior with pyrotechnic powers. Also, he's a love interest.
Raphael is my favorite character. He's a courtesan, and he's a freaking good one. And this mostly is because he has the power to manipulate people's emotions, and he can sense energies. He's described as being utterly flawless and graceful, but there's just something so lovable about him, and he has a calm nature that Adelina really, really, really needs.
I can't stop. I'm hysterical.
The other elites more or less fade into the background with the exception of Dante the Spider, whose main function seems to be being a permanent dick.
World building wise, Lou is working on it. If they were to turn this into a movie right now, it would have a very, very distinct style. Masks, fancy dresses, cities surrounded by waterfalls, all just very elegant, as if everyone in the city was in a permanent masquerade.
You know what this makes me think of?
What?
Bowie.
Bowie?
Well, more specifically, Bowie and Labyrinth. It's pretty, but it also has those dark and creepy undertones that the book has.
Visually, the book has world building down, but it doesn't feel complete just yet. It's missing a lot of history and myths and customs that would help make the world feel more real. The gods are briefly mentioned, but they don't go into much depth about them. And Lou does give us snippets of literature at the beginning of each chapter, but it's not quite enough. The epilogue, though, promises that it'll expand on the world, instead of just looking at the little small piece that we've been exploring.
With Enzo determined to regain his thrones, we do learn a little bit about the royals who are governing the kingdom and persecuting the Malfettos. Enzo's sister Giulietta sits on the throne with her husband, and they use the Malfettos as scapegoats to hide their poor ruling decisions.
And while they are supposed to be the villains, they come off as vaguely menacing rather than actually threatening. This could just be because they don't get much airtime. It's Terran who does the most of the chest banging and Hulk smashing. And while he is effective at causing havoc, he is basically Silas from the Da Vinci Code. His self-hatred and need for redemption turning him into a giant tool. A giant tool of evil.
No, I think he's just a regular old tool. And a bunch of other words you may want to apply to the situation. Dick, douchebag, prick. What? It's true. Anyways, be warned. We may be going through a dark fantasy trend right now, but this is one of the darkest ones yet. There was a moment where I had to put the book down because holy crap, it had gone girl dark. And as for it being my first introduction to Lou's writing, I think I like it.
I definitely wasn't bored. This story pulls some moves that you may or may not be able to predict, but it will definitely leave you wondering where the story's headed next. Also, I'm not entirely convinced that Adelina will not become the villain of her story. Just saying.